What is up, everybody? Welcome back again. Free agency has started this morning. So let's talk about one of the big moves that I'm interested in that just broke. Tony Pollard is leaving Dallas. Yep, that's right. They couldn't agree to a deal after Tony Pollard already said that he was willing to take less money to stay in Dallas. But before you get into that, as always, guys, make sure to share, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know when content and videos are coming out. Now, back to it. The Cowboys lose Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard signs a 3-year deal with the Tennessee Titans. We made a video about Dallas drafting Audric Estime and some other fun draft ideas with Bo Nix and Michael Penix and some of these other things. If you haven't checked out that video, go back and check it out. I am here now to hammer down the fact that Dallas absolutely needs to draft Audric Estime. There was 3 free agent backs in the market that were potentially linked to Dallas: Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry. Josh Jacobs just signed this morning with the Green Bay Packers. He's off the board. You now have Saquon and Derrick Henry, 2 older backs, completely different play styles. And if you watch the other video, what I talk about is I am leaning more towards Saquon Barkley than Derrick Henry. The reason for that is very, very simple. Because I am pounding the table that the Cowboys need to draft Audric Estime. The dude led the nation in rushing last year. They need to draft Estime. Now, on the other side, I know what people are saying. I think we touched base on this in the last video. Well, he tested terrible at the combine. I don't care. I really don't. The combine is stupid. Most of the stuff it's just pure numbers, and all the combine winners are usually busts. What I care about is the film and the tape. Estime has exceptional vision, and I'm a Notre Dame fan. I've watched every single snap he's taken his entire career. He has exceptional vision. He has tremendous speed with the ball under his arm on the field. I mean, the guy has ran for 60, 70, 80-yard touchdowns. I've rarely seen him get tracked down from behind, so the speed concerns with his 40-yard dash time, I don't care about any of that. It's nonsense. The guy's so strong, he puts pads on the field. He's instantly faster than these guys getting weighed down with pads. The pads aren't going to slow him down 1/10 of a second with his lower body strength. The guy's built like a brick house, and he's a perfect fit for Dallas. They have power running concerns. He is a 235-pound freight train who is very agile with very quick feet. He has very good acceleration, which I care more about the acceleration than the top-end speed anyway, especially with a back of his style. I want him to get through the hole at a high rate and inflict punishment when he's going through the hole, which he absolutely does. Like I said, he's very agile. He has quick feet. And he is a guy who, yes, he can run downhill and pound you, but at the same time, he can also be extremely elusive in the open field, make guys miss, very shifty. So he is the best running back in this draft. I want to make that perfectly clear. Coming in with the data that we have, on paper, he is the best back in this draft. And you guys can argue with me all you want about 40 times and other guys who tested better than this and that. I don't care. Look at the film. He is the best back in this draft when you look at the film. The guy averaged almost 7 yards a carry last year. It's not close. Him and Blake Corum are 1-2, and it's not close with anybody else. It's really not. And the fact that Notre Dame underachieved this year, and I know people are talking about Joe Alt. I don't like Joe Alt. I'm a Notre Dame guy. I watched Joe Alt get pushed around like a 3-year-old baby by 50-pound undersized Louisville defensive ends. Sam Hartman had problems at Notre Dame this year. Some of it was decision-making. The other problems were the fact that the Notre Dame offensive line was overrated and not good. Yes, they were big. Yes, they were supposedly physical. But anytime a team actually wanted to come in, which we saw with Dallas this year, and punch them in the face, the Notre Dame offensive line collapsed. They got punched in the mouth and punched in the face by undersized team after undersized team after undersized team. And despite running behind the porous Notre Dame offensive line that was completely overrated, with completely overrated guys like Joe Alt, who are soft, despite that, he still averaged 7 yards a carry and was still one of the few automatic every week bright points for Notre Dame. Now, on the other side, if they don't get Audric Estime, or for whatever reason Dallas isn't interested in Audric Estime, which is absolutely mind-numbingly dumb, they should absolutely go get Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is a perfect fit in Dallas, a big, fast, 250-pound physical back who has a lot left in the tank. I don't care about his numbers in Tennessee. Tennessee is terrible. They don't have a quarterback. Their offensive line's atrocious. Absolutely, Derrick Henry has a lot of tread left on the tires, and he could absolutely revitalize his career in Dallas and be a huge asset for the Cowboys. So if you don't want to go the Estime route, you absolutely should get Derrick Henry. Saquon Barkley, I prefer, because I want the 1-2 punch like you had with Zeke and Pollard, with a better one punch being the Thunder with Audric Estime. Audric Estime would be an upgrade from the shell of himself that we saw from Zeke. He'd actually be able to do more on those short yardage carries, have more breakout runs, 15-plus yard runs. There'd actually be real production, not just 2 yards in a cloud of dust like we saw with Zeke. But I like the Thunder and Lightning approach. Saquon Barkley absolutely is lightning. He also is a little bit bigger than Pollard, can produce some of that physical downhill running as well. And it's lightning and thunder, and they're both a little bit of each other. Estime has a little bit of lightning to him. Barkley has a little bit of thunder to him, and it's a really, really good 1-2 balance with those two. That's why I'm more leaning towards, hey, go get Saquon Barkley. Plus, he's going to be running for revenge, coming back playing New York twice a year, staying in this division. He's coming back for revenge. So I like the fact of Barkley's going to have a chip on his shoulder coming back within the division, just putting it on New York twice a year. And like I said, and I think Estime and Barkley really, really complement each other well. But regardless whether you get Henry or Barkley, Dallas needs to draft Estime. I said this before. It should be their number one priority. And either way, they have to do something at running back. You have to get Henry. You have to get Barkley. You have to do something. Because at this point, you just let Tony Pollard walk out the door. You can't let him walk out the door and do nothing. I was big pro on, because of pushing for Estime, keep Tony Pollard. Let him go back to his lightning role and bring in an Audric Estime to take carries away from him and keep him fresh and let him go back into a role that he's good with. And for me, I thought they should have kept Tony Pollard and, like I said, made Audric Estime the number one target on their draft board to pair with Pollard. But if you wanted to let Pollard go to bring in a Saquon Barkley, I understand that. I'm okay with that. I can see the rationale behind that. But what I can understand is when Tony Pollard comes out and says, I am willing to take less money to stay in Dallas, how do you not make that deal work? How is he all of a sudden a Titan? How do you not put together that deal when he said he's willing to take less money to stay in Dallas? That really doesn't make sense to me. It's mind-boggling. And once again, I think Tony Pollard is the Tony Pollard we saw when he was paired with Zeke. I think he is still that back, which is one of the best, most explosive backs in the league. The problem was, just like everything else, that Dallas offensive line is old and beat up and overrated. And I saw time after time after time, Pollard getting hit in the backfield. He's getting hit as soon as he gets the ball. There's no holes, guys. There's nowhere for him to go. It wasn't a Pollard problem last year. Maybe it took him, 4, 5, 6 weeks to really get his legs back under him after the injury and get back into it. But at the end of the day, it wasn't a Pollard issue. Dallas's offensive line has big, major problems. big time problems. And there was just flat out nowhere for him to run. There's nowhere for him to go. He wasn't a shell of himself. The offensive line just performed badly, which is what really hurt with a smaller back like Pollard, not having the thunder to maybe push some of those negative plays into 2 or 3 yard gains. I understand all that. And it definitely really hurt in short yardage and goal line stuff, red zone activity. But at the end of the day, like I said, if you pair him with a nice power back, I don't understand why you would let Pollard walk. I really don't. And I've been on the train of getting Audric Estime because I know Dallas is not going to pay 2 running backs. And if I was Dallas, they said they want to go all in. If I was the Cowboys, my number one thing that I would have done is draft Estime. And I would have also, and like I said, I've been pushing this because I know they're not going to draft, that they're not going to pay 2 backs, but I would have been on the train of absolutely pay 2 running backs. Keep Tony Pollard. Let him be the best lightning back in the league, which is what he is. And sign Derrick Henry. I would have had Derrick Henry and Tony Pollard in the same backfield. That is what Dallas should have done this offseason. Put both of them on the same team and on the field together. That is what Dallas should have done. Because they are complete complements of each other. Would have been a fantastic 1-2 punch with this running attack. That is exactly what Dallas should have done. And like I said, if I'm Dallas, either way, regardless of what I do, I'm still drafting Audric Estime, especially now since he's plummeting in drafts and mock drafts and everything. I can go get in 4th, 5th round, go get Audric Estime for the leading rusher in college football, who's another hammer short yardage guy that I need. Absolutely, who can then slowly mold and take over for Derrick Henry because we know he is aging. I would have absolutely done that. If I'm Dallas, I can fix my running back problem, re-sign Tony Pollard for less money, which he agreed to, sign Derrick Henry and draft Audric Estime, and I have the best running back room in football. Without a doubt. And I can run for over 100 yards every single week. It doesn't matter who the defense is. So, update there, guys. Tony Pollard is gone. Dallas now is forced. They have to make a move at running back. It's going to be interesting to see how they let this play out and what their thoughts are approaching this. Now you guys know my thoughts. I would have kept Pollard and got Derrick Henry. But now it's at the point where you still need to, number 1 priority, get Audric Estime. Number 2 priority, like I said, I would take Saquon Barkley, but I'm okay with Saquon or Derrick Henry. But I think Saquon with Estime is a perfect pairing, a perfect complement to each other. So that's what I'm going to be looking for out of Dallas. Let's see how they approach this. But, yeah, Tony Pollard walks, especially if Dallas sits on their hands like they usually do in the offseason and do nothing, because I don't buy into the whole, we're all in this year. I think it's just complete talk. It's Jerry doing Jerry, trying to get the fan base excited, trying to give people some hope after he brings back a lame duck coach. We're going to be forced to re-sign a quarterback that can't get you over the top. All these things going on in Dallas, we're basically just running it back. So he's trying to generate some excitement of, I'm going to bring some pieces in here. We're going all in. No, they're not. So we'll see if Dallas does what they always do, sit on their hands, do nothing, not sign anybody of note, and have a repeat of every other year. Thanks for tuning in, guys. As always, raw takes, no apologies. Jerry, get on the phone, do something today. Figure out who's starting for you at running back today. Let's get that wrapped up. As always, raw takes, no apologies, guys. Peace out.